Welcome to Div Tech 101, aka Black Mantle, where we discuss information technology, also known as IT. In today's episode, I want to specifically talk about the drone pilot certification that you can take in order to become a certified drone pilot, where you can fly commercially and actually make money from flying your drones. Now, what I've been doing over the last couple of weeks is looking over some documentation about the drone pilot certification. I just pretty much printed out the information, as you can see, and just kind of made me a binder like behind it and stuff. And it's really interesting, just the amount of information that's in this book here. It's book ranges about 78 pages is what we have here. And within those 78 pages, you have about 12 chapters, and you have an appendix 1 through 3, and it goes over all kinds of information from the of course the introduction about the FAA reference material. You talk about the airspace classifications and operating requirements and the flight restrictions for your drones. You know where you're going to be flying, how far you can fly from the airport, how far you have to fly above objects, what do you need to do in the event if a plane is coming your direction and you fly into, an airspace that you're not supposed to be in, as well as looking at the controlled and uncontrolled airspaces as well. Now, the book requires you, or this book, I basically went online to the FAA site and printed this out. Now, there's other books on Amazon that you can get that will take you through the same material, but they do it a little bit differently. I just want to see and take the test to see what it's like just using the FAA material that they have printed on the website. Now, in this book, it's going to be a little bit confusing, especially to the common everyday person, because if you're not a pilot, just looking through some of this stuff will make you fall asleep. I mean, it is totally above the average person's head because it's speaking in a language in which pilots speak in. Now, when you start getting into the aviation weather metrics or the weather sources and the effects of the weather on small unmanned aircraft performance, that's when it's going to start getting a little bit interesting. And trust me, you will want to sit down and really read this book. Go through all 70 pages to make sure you understand. Now, in this book, what you have is there's some in-flight emergency procedures that you can also use in here. Some of the things, you can pretty much get like the psychological factors when it comes to drugs and alcohol to affect the performance of you flying. Now, drone flying is very exciting, and there's endless opportunities. People are using them now, are starting to use them in agriculture, as far as looking at crop, looking at their cattle, also scanning their fields. I've did that for someone I know to check on a horse, and just the amount of time it would have taken to get in the ATV, drive out, check on the horse, come back. It would have taken a couple of minutes, but just taking the drone up, speed, flying it out on private property, looking at it and coming back. I mean, it was very, very interesting. Knowing where you are flying, knowing the safety, protocols with your drone. For instance, as soon as you lift your drone up off the ground, it's specifically on the DJI Mavic Pro drones for sure. The ones that are in the thousands of dollars. When you're flying those, it basically takes a picture of the ground beneath it, and it records the geo position of it, of where it's at, so that way when you hit the return home button on the remote, it will return back to that exact location and also face the same way. Now, when you do that, you have to make sure that you set the parameters in there where wherever the drone is at, from that point it will lift to the specified height ceiling, then it will travel over to where you are on where it left off at, and then it will lower itself down. So think of it in the sense of looking at 2 telephone poles and a wire in between them, in a sense. The drone lifts up, it goes over to where it's supposed to go, and then it comes down. Now keep in mind, you have to watch out for obstacles and stuff like that. Now, the aeronautical decision-making and judgment, it talks about the history of that, situational awareness, what would happen if a plane is somehow in like I want to say like a private airspace, but if you're on your private property and say a crop duster flies low, you need to know what to do in that instance to keep your drone safe from crashing, for attempting to try to crash their plane. Not that you're doing it on purpose, but you have to know what you're looking for. You also have to learn to read the weather in there as well. They give you the types of beverages, the types of servings, the pure alcohol content of that in here. That's some very helpful information there. Now, the regulations, they go for the 14 CFR 107s and all parts referencing 107, as well as the AC 107-2. Looking at the different areas, you have to know, looking at the National Aeronautical Charting Group, or the NACG, you look at that and then you have to figure out by reading the map on whether you are in like a prohibited, restricted areas, warning areas, the military operating, areas, as well as alert and controlled firing areas as well. So if you live near an airport, like in the city of Marion in West Memphis, Arkansas, you have the regional airport that's in West Memphis, and you have the international airport in Memphis, Tennessee, which are the only 2 airspaces that are really close by, as well as the Millington Naval Base. So it's almost in a triangle there. Well, in some parts that the planes fly through, say for instance, the FedEx planes fly a certain way in and out. If you're looking at it from the Marion, Arkansas perspective, you're looking at during the daytime, some of the planes are flying from the north west down to the kind of the southeast portion towards Memphis, and then at night sometimes the planes will fly from the airport and head towards the northeast part. Now, at night it's a little bit different. In the morning you can hear the planes, depending on where you live, you can hear the planes coming over, going southwest. It looks like from say the northbound of Marion, West Memphis, and flying over towards the West Memphis airport, and then curving back over to the Memphis International Airport, where they're landing there. Could be FedEx planes or freight planes, whatever, it doesn't matter. But you need to know where you're able to fly. And most of the time with the DJI drones, the drones will tell you exactly what you need to do, whether you can fly in the area or not, and you have to accept whether you accept the terms and conditions of that, and whether you accept that you saw that message before you fly. Because the worst thing that you can do is have a drone fly off on you in the middle of some space that you're not supposed to be in. And trust me, you have to report that, especially if it's above, I want to try to remember, if it's more than $500 worth of damage, you have to report that to the FAA. If it's less than that, I don't think you have to report that. I think I remember reading that somewhere in here, because of the damage and everything. And like I said, they have to make sure to keep that information of who's flying what. And of course, you have to register your drone with the FAA. So you have to register your drone, get a number, and that number has to be on your little car or written on your drone, so the FAA can recognize that. But you don't have to have your license unless you're planning to use the drone footage on YouTube to make money off of. So for those of you out there who are filming with drones and you're trying to get that one viral video to go up, you're going to have that drone's license in order to get compensation for that video, or else that's against the FAA violation there. So that's just a little bit brief overview through the path that I'm on right now, just basically trying to get this. Aviation routine weather reports. Those are very interesting to read because within that, it tells you the airport, the distance, the way that you're coming in to flying towards your landing. It gives you just some of that basic information there because it has the type of report, station identifier, which is the airport, the date and time of the report, modifier, the wind, speed, visibility, and the weather as well. And you all, when I say this is interesting, it's very interesting. So like, listen, subscribe to DivTech 101, aka Black Mantle, on our site, dimensiontechnology.com or blackmantle.com, where we're going to keep bringing the latest and greatest content to you. See you all soon.